What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jay, Justo, Juzzy, Justin. You know me by many different names. I just had a sick catch up with my brothers this afternoon, and we're driving along in the car, and as boys do, they talk about their top lists of all time with different things. Now, we all love video games, so we said, what's your top 3 video games that you ever played? Then we got to thinking, what's your top 20? And could you list them all out? And what would that list look like? So, I'm about to kick this off. This is just going to be totally informal. I've got a list of my games right here in front of me. I'm going to talk about what's good about them. I'm going to talk about why they're great. And we're going to move through this list as fast as we can. Probably take 10, 15 minutes maybe. We'll see how we go. Now, first thing to clear up is this is not a list of the best 20 games of all time. This is a list of my favourite 20 games of all time. And some of the criteria that I've sort of thought about was like, how many times I replayed the game, how many hours I put into it, how much fun I had with it. Even just sometimes that nostalgic feeling that you get when you think about that game and those great experiences that you had when you played it. If I'm going to be honest, this video would probably get like 7 views or something like that. So if you want to get in the comments section and talk shit or say that my list is crap or whatever you want to do, be my guest, man. Just jump in there and say whatever the fuck you want. And, there is a possibility, I guess, maybe one day, one of my parody videos, it might blow up and go viral, and I might get 400 or 500 subscribers, and they might come and check out some of my other videos, and they might be like, well, I wonder what his top 20 favourite games are. And that might actually be interesting, and it might get a whole lot more views. But in all reality, it'll probably get 2 views, and those 2 views will be one from Jacob and one from Daniel. So, let's get into it. At number 20, we got Tomb Raider 2. Now, I couldn't leave a Tomb Raider game off this list. Didn't play this game as much as some of the other ones. Some of the great things about it was this was the second Tomb Raider game, and the first one where they introduced vehicles. So you've got some great parts of the game, like in Venice when you're driving through on the boat, and you've got those snow stages when you're on the snow ski ride or whatever the fuck you call that bloody thing. You had some new weapons that were introduced. I had a great story, and I thought the secret system was really cool because you had these little dragons. You had a silver dragon, a gold dragon, and a jade dragon. You find all 3 of them on one stage, and you get some extra bonuses, which was, it was really sick at the time. Number 19, we got Theme Park. Now, Theme Park, I played probably a few years ago again. It was a free download on my computer. Probably spent another 20 or 30 hours worth of gameplay going into it. So it's basically a simulator where you start from scratch and you build up your theme park and you expand on it, and then you move to different countries and you try and take over the whole world and basically have a theme park in every single country. Very sick simulator. Had some cool shit like people that would get upset and litter around your park, and you'd have your rides break down and kids falling off the rides, and you jack your prices up on selling french fries and make your food more salty so people have got to go to the toilet more often. And it was really just trying to build the sickest theme park that you could, and you'd get upgrades as you go throughout the game. You'd get better rides and better shops, all the way up to the point where you could put video game arcades inside your park, and you could build your own kart tracks and your own roller coasters and shit like that. Yeah, really sick game. Number 18, we got Gran Turismo. So probably one of my favourite car games of all time. Probably the last car game that I actually really got into. Need for Speed was okay, but Gran Turismo, it really just sort of kicked off the realistic side of car games. It really focused on the graphics, but it had some awesome courses, and just the amount of gameplay and the amount of hours that I put into this. Shit, I used to play races on this freaking game that were like 60 laps long, and they took nearly an hour to actually finish the race. And if you can sit through 60 laps in a car game, it must be some pretty awesome shit. Yeah, had some really fun times with Gran Turismo. Number 17, bit of an Easter egg here. Not actually a video game, but one that you find at nearly every video game arcade in Australia at least. It's the one where you get tickets where you smash the alligator on his head. You got 5 alligators in a row, you got a hammer, and that alligator just pops out and he goes, ow, 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 ow. And you get further into the game and it starts to speed up. And he had some really cool catchphrases that I'll never ever forget in my whole life. Is, now I'm angry, ow, 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 ow. Yeah, really fun shit that was. Number 16, you got Alex Kidd in Miracle World. Now, this was actually a free game that was built into the Sega Master System, probably the oldest game on this list. Had some really, really cool shit at the time. You know, it was a pretty basic platformer. Alex Kidd was pretty much the mascot for the Sega Master System, while Sonic was there for the Mega Drive and Mario was there for the Nintendo. Some of the cool shit that they had in this game, it had cool music every single stage. It had those Jenkin matches where the bosses, you'd actually do rock, scissors, paper against them to try and beat them. And going back, it had shops where you'd actually buy upgrades and things like motorbikes and a ring that would shoot a laser out of it. And this was pretty cool shit at the time because, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario, they didn't have shops. They didn't have a system where you'd actually buy those level ups. You'd just find them throughout the stage. So, yeah, pretty cool shit at the time. Never beat the game, but put a lot of hours into this one. It was some cool shit. Number 15 is the original Resident Evil. Now, I said I didn't really want to put two games from one series on this list. I wanted to keep it to one, but the amount of hours that I put into this game and the amount of times I actually finished it, I got to say I probably finished this game 30 or 40 times. So, and you add up how much fun I must have been having with this game to have beaten it that many times. And no, the real silver lining at the end of it all was, if you beat the game in under 3 hours, you'd get an infinite rocket launcher that you could play through the whole game with. Now, infinite rocket launcher would kill anything in one go. So this was some pretty crazy shit at the time. And played it and played it and played it and memorized my way around the mansion until the point where my best run ever, I beat it in 1:58. So I actually smashed that 3 hours, and I'd never been under 3 hours before that. So I pretty much shit myself when I saw the time. I was shitting myself the whole time playing it, and just that first game that I ever really did a speed run on. And apart from maybe Sonic the Hedgehog, because that kind of did have that speed run element to it. But the first game that was that long, and you would actually get a really big payoff at the end of it if you actually achieved getting under 3 hours. Number 14, my favourite racing game of all time, Super Monaco GP. Another very old game. This one was on the Mega Drive. I remember we borrowed this one from a guy that was working with my dad when we first got the Mega Drive, and I played the shit out of this game. Pretty hard at first, and never really played any racing games, but had all of the realistic F1 tracks. Cool tracks. You'd get into a system where you'd actually upgrade to a better team and get a better car. You'd challenge the other drivers, and eventually you would actually win the whole season. And after you win the season, the next season you start in the best car in the whole game, and no matter what, you get your ass kicked in the first 3 races by a brand new driver that has just entered the championship, and you couldn't beat him. It was fixed so that you would actually lose those first 3 races. You'd lose your endorsement with the top team, and you'd fall all the way back to a lower team and have to work your way back up again. And by the time you actually beat this the second time, that was when you actually finished the game. So you got to get all the way back to the top after crashing down. And just the thought of that sort of system it's pretty great idea for the time that they actually came up with something so clever, I thought. Number 13, you got Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So this was a tough choice between the first Sonic and the second Sonic, but I had to go with the second Sonic because it introduced an additional character, which was Tails. Had this awesome soundtrack. Now I can pretty much listen to that soundtrack just in the background while I'm doing shit and enjoy every minute of it. It had that awesome bonus stage where you're in the half pipe. But what really put it over the top and made it better than Sonic 1 for me was that it had a 2-player mode as well, where you could actually play against your friends, and one person would be Sonic and one person would be Tails, and you'd battle against each other, and all sorts of mini challenges like who can get the most coins, who can finish the stage first, who can get the most pickups, the magic and the shit like that. And yep, heaps of fun, great game. NBA 2K5, So I had to put an NBA game on this, and I do remember playing a lot of NBA Showdown 94 and NBA Live 95, probably also NBA 2K7, NBA 2K8. I played a lot of that shit with my brother Shane. We'd get home from work and we'd be like, yep, let's go and play some 2K, man. Finish off dinner, have 2 or 3 games before bed, and that was some pretty wicked shit. But NBA 2K5 is the most memorable because it had a sick one-player mode where you would actually build up your character and you'd play one-on-one and best of 21 with 3 people out in the park against legends, and you'd build it up and you'd start against shit players in the league that would only have a rating of like 70, and you'd work your way up to playing against Shaquille O'Neal, and then you'd move on to like playing against legends like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and shit like that. But it was really that leveling system that was really cool about this game. I'm a really big fan of pretty much any game where you can build your stats up and you can grind and grind and grind. And this is really the only basketball game that I can think of that I played where I really enjoyed that grinding side of it. You'd go into practice and you'd shoot a bunch of 3-pointers to try and build up your 3-point rating, and then you'd go and play in a game, and if you won the game, you'd get additional stats, and you'd have basically a leveling system where you could improve all your skills, and yeah, some really sick shit on that one as well. Number 11, bit of a controversial one here, probably not a popular choice, but couldn't leave off Candy Crush Saga. This is a mobile game. Everybody knows Candy Crush, and I'm talking about the original one because that was the first one that I played. Probably beat about 600 stages in it or something like that. And, well, why this one gets a special mention as well is because I played this one when I was trying to give up smoking, and it was just a great distraction at the time, and I was kind of fascinated about how much I actually liked this game. It really blew me away. I mean, I used to play puzzle games like Tetris and Columns, but Candy Crush Saga is just on another level when it comes to puzzle games, and yeah, I still play it nearly every day today. I play Soda Saga these days, but Candy Crush, the original Saga, it's got to be the better of the two. Number 10, WWE SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. This one came out about 2002. I played the shit out of it, again, just like I did with pretty much every game on this list, to the point where I remember my flatmates, one of them was my brother, one of them was another one of my best mates, that they were just puzzled that I would actually love playing this game so much. And it had some sick shit in it that I'd never seen in a wrestling game before. The gameplay was fast and it was smooth, and all of the moves looked great, and I mean, just the roster they had to work with as well. I mean, it's some of the biggest WWE legends of all time. You had Brock Lesnar and Eddie Guerrero and Thuganomics John Cena and Rob Van Dam and Goldberg. I mean, just a really sick roster. Undertaker, Kane. You had the finishers where you'd build up the finishers, and if you got 2 finishers, 2 SmackDown symbols, you can even steal your opponent's finisher, which was really cool because that was kind of what was just starting to become a big thing in wrestling back in about 2002. Was holy shit, he just did a rock bottom on the Rock, and to incorporate that into a video game, it was just really cool shit, man. Number 9, we got Simpsons Hit and Run. Kind of funny that I put the Simpsons version of Grand Theft Auto on this list rather than a Grand Theft Auto game. And I know there's many great Grand Theft Auto games out there, but none that I've really, really got drawn into and put hours and hours and hours of time into them. But certainly this one, it was just so cool the way that they built the city, and it had everything from the TV series. I was a huge Simpsons fan for like forever. They had the catchphrases, they had every character that you could think of, and the gameplay was cool. You had a leveling system, you had side quests. There was nothing wrong with the driving mechanics. You could get out of your car and you could explore around town. You'd have hidden features, you'd have collectibles, and it was just the absolute dream game for any Simpsons fan to be going around town with Lisa in a Malibu Stacy car, and Bart in his rocket car, and Marge in the Canyonero. I mean, it's all from the show. It's awesome shit, man. Number 8, we've got Tekken 2. Now, I was tossing up between Tekken 3 and Tekken 2 here. Nearly went with Tekken 3 because Tekken 3 had that really awesome mode where you actually did like a beat 'em up system, and that was the first time with anything, Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, they never did anything like that. where you'd actually play through it and it'd be like Final Fight sort of style with Tekken characters. That was cool. But Tekken 2, I just put so many more hours into this, and not only that, when I think about it, this was the first time I really got into doing combos, 10-hit combos, the amount of time I spent in the practice arena just learning this shit. But not only that, when we lived at Redcliffe, we'd get a group of 8 or 9 people and 2 controllers, and 1 versus 1, 2-player mode, and you lost, you passed the controller on to the next guy. And it's just some wicked times with all those boys there. And I think I was one of the better ones, so I probably, I could get on like a 5 or 6 game sort of win streak against the other guys, and there was even people that just fucking hated playing against me because I was awesome at it. I knew all the combos, I knew all the throws, and I just played the shit out of it, so I was really, really good at it. Number 7, you got Tiger Woods 2004. Another tough one to pick which one from the series was number 1 for me, but I remember Tiger Woods 2004 being the first one that I got into it. It had some awesome levels. It had that fucking level where you go out into Antarctica and you've got this 18-hole course in Antarctica. You had the highlands. And another reason why I really love this one, I'm very fond of it, is because I remember this is the one as well when I lived with my big brother Shane. Along with NBA 2K, we'd get home from work, we'd eat dinner, and then we'd sit down and go, fuck yeah, let's have a game of Tiger Woods, and let's see who can get the best score. And just the feeling of, with a golf game, because I pretty much suck at golf in real life, just the feeling of being able to get birdies and eagles and trying to get an even better score, getting these ridiculous scores that don't even happen in real life, like 22 under and bullshit like that. No, really, really awesome shit. Number 6, we got Toe Jam and Earl. Now, I can't believe I nearly forgot about this one. When I started writing down the list, I got to about 18 and then I went, holy shit, how could I forget about Toe Jam and Earl? This game, it's just like nothing else that you've ever played. What can I say about it? It's got wicked soundtrack. It's got about 26 levels where you go up in an elevator and you collect presents and you get upgrades, and it had all these crazy different enemies that will walk around, and they're not like your regular enemies. They're things like a swarm of bees would come out of nowhere and chase you, and you might get knocked off the level by the bees, and you could get these boots that make you run fast, that you only got so many of them, and you had to try and run away from them. You got these fucking pesky bloody moles that would dig around on the ground and shoot up and steal all your fucking presents. That was a real nuisance. You got this crazy dentist that would follow you around, and he could walk faster than you could walk, so you were pretty much stuffed anytime he was around. And yeah, just some really cool, unique shit that you never see in any other game. Plus, I played it through multiple times. I think I finished it all in one day one time and played it for about 9 hours straight. That's a pretty crazy lengthy session on the games there. Number 5, I've got Streets of Rage 2. Best beat 'em up game ever. Awesome on 2 players, awesome on 1 player. The soundtrack is just insane. I mean, it's another one just like Sonic 2 where I can get the original soundtrack up on YouTube and I could listen to the whole 50 minutes and just love the whole thing. It had some cool characters. It had skate on those rollerblades, which was so cool at the time because rollerblades was actually cool. You had your favourite characters from the first game, Axel and Blaze were in it, and then you had this big ass wrestler who you could pretty much get them in this grapple hold, and if you got them stuck in this grapple hold, you could nearly kill a boss all in one go. So he was just a great character for those reasons, but it was diverse and it had different characters, and I probably beat this game 50 or 60 times and I could still pick it up today, and that's the great thing about it. I could pick it up today and I could still love it. And yeah, just a really, really wicked game. The graphics are sick, the soundtrack is sick, characters are sick, had great moves, had great replayability. Yeah, awesome game. Number 4, funny enough, is the 4th installment of Resident Evil. Now, Resident Evil, probably my favourite franchise of all time, but Resident Evil 4 just because of the fact that I'd pull up parody videos on YouTube just to watch this game because I loved it so much. It added an action element to Resident Evil that just hadn't been there before. It had great bosses. I had the merchant, who me and my old mate Bob, we still see each other every day, and we never forget the merchant. What are you buying? What are you selling? Ha ha ha! Not enough cash, stranger. He had so many sick, punchlines, and Leon was just a kick-ass machine. Had additional content like separate ways with Ada, where you got to see Ada go through the game and how all our interactions with Leon actually occurred. Had a great guns in the game. It had an upgrade system. It had things that you could buy, which is all shit that I just freaking love. And yeah, best Resident Evil game that I ever played. Number 3, funny again, is you got the third installment of Far Cry this time. I might have said a few years ago this was number 1 on my list, but yeah, and these things can change around, so you could say it's number 1 as well. I mean, the first 3 games and some of the other ones, you can pretty much change them around, but I think about the music in this game. It had probably the best antagonist in a game that I've ever played, which was Vaas. It had an upgrade system where you'd build your skill tree. Had side quests where you'd go and hunt down an island of the savages and try and kill all 6 of them without getting caught. It had those sniper elements to it, the stealth that you could go in and you could just do some Rambo shit and blow up the whole fucking town with a rocket launcher if you wanted to. Some badass shit like that. Climbing up the radio towers was awesome fun. It had that puzzle element to it. And who could ever forget that one mission where you go into the crop circle with a flamethrower with that awesome song playing, and you torch all of the crop circles full of marijuana, and then the dude tries to take off in the boat at the end of it, and you gun him down. Had some awesome other characters in it like Citra and Dennis, and Hoyt was okay. Probably Vaas was obviously a better antagonist, but Hoyt was okay. And after you finish the first island, you got a whole nother island to deal with, and just so much shit that went into it. I'll probably beat this one 5 or 6 times, and realistically, it probably takes 40 or 50 hours to beat it. So, great game. Yeah, awesome. Number 2, the game I'm playing at the moment. And sometimes you can probably overrate your favourite game at the moment a little bit, maybe. So maybe I am here, and maybe Far Cry 3 should actually be number 2, and Dying Light should be number 3. But this game is freaking wicked. And it's like Far Cry, but you have this climbing element to it. And you have zombies, and I fucking love zombies. I mean, I loved Resident Evil for years and years and years. The Walking Dead is wicked. You got some wicked shit on The Walking Dead, where you can smash zombies into spiked walls and they die. You got a great antagonist in Rice, who you genuinely want to kill. The final mission in the game is just freaking sick, but then you've got those gameplay element changes like going around at night time, where it's kind of scary as shit at the start of the game. You got during the daytime where you've just got side quests galore, and once you get the grappling hook, it just really goes to another level, because you can just fucking climb around everywhere and really build up the parkour. You've got skill trees to build things up. You got weapon upgrades. Your weapons get stronger as you go throughout the game. You got a great variety of weapons. You got side quests galore, huge maps to explore, safe houses. I mean, just so much good shit in this game. It's just freaking phenomenal. Number 1, no real surprises if you know me here, but I still can't go past Final Fantasy VII. The amount of hours that I put into this game, and the leveling system with materia, the great feeling the first time I beat Emerald Weapon and Ruby Weapon, how crazy I thought Midgar was the first time I went through Midgar. Probably the one of the greatest antagonists ever in Sephiroth. You had the shocking scene, or spoiler alert here, the shocking scene when Aeris died. I'd never seen any shit like that before. But I even remember going to high school, and it was such a big thing that we'd spend the whole fucking lunch hour just talking about this game. Sometimes we'd going to school and what have you done, and what level is your fire upgraded to, and hey, did you see that summon, and holy shit, do you know how to get Knights of the Round Table? And there's just never really had a game that we talked about as much as this one to then. And the graphics, no, they haven't really stood up to the test of time, but the soundtrack is still just amazing. I mean, I think of the Sephiroth song, I think of the battle theme, I think of Cosmo Canyon, I think of Tifa's theme, Barrett's theme, and just a really wicked story. It can get a little bit a little bit hard to read through it all again now these days, because I've beat it 15 times probably. But give it 2 years and I can pick the game up again and just freaking love it all the way through. So I think I've talked enough now. This is going to be the longest YouTube video I've ever made. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, Jacob and Daniel, and I'll be waiting out to see what your top 20 looks like. Sick, man.